Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Today I want to talk to you about an important, heartbreaking issue that happened this week. Just when we thought that the miseries of this year were beginning to ease up, our A-level kids were dealt an awful blow with the results fiasco. I do want to wish a hearty mazel tov to all those who received the results they were hoping for and were able to accept their uni offers. And I hope that those who received good news after the government U-turn were also able to sort things out. But I know that so many of you were let down by the system and the state of affairs due to COVID. My heart goes out to you, and I'm here today to tell you not to lose hope. In this week's parasha of Shoftim, we learn about the rules of going out to war. We had to defend our borders of the land of Israel. Now, we would go out and the general would stand up and announce that certain people had to return from the front lines of the battlefield. Firstly, if anyone had built a new house and had not yet dedicated it, go home, dedicate your home. Secondly, if someone had planted a vineyard and not yet eaten of the fruits, go home, enjoy the fruits of your labor. Thirdly, if someone had engaged a young lady and was due to be married but not yet married, go home, get married, be there for your new wife. And finally, if someone was afraid, also go home, do not stay here in the battlefield. Here's my question. If you had gotten engaged or you had built a house, knowing this law in the Torah, why would you even show up? You know that you're going to be sent home. So you might as well just stay home knowing that I'm not meant to be here in battle. I'm meant to be in my new home, in my new marriage. There's no point going out whatsoever, which essentially ends up with a situation where you never need this halacha. You never need this law of the Torah that tells us the general should stand up and send everyone home because they don't come out to begin with. So what's the meaning of this Torah law? If someone indeed was engaged, should they have gone out to the battlefield or not? I want to provide for you three answers. The first one comes from the Meshech Chachma, Rabbi Meir Simcha of Dvinsk, in the early 20th century, Lithuania and then Latvia. He says that they didn't actually go home. Where they went was to the support for the war. They would provide provisions for the soldiers. They just wouldn't be at the front lines because we want to make sure that at the end of the war, they're still here to be able to complete the duties that they had started, complete the tasks, the mission that they had begun. And so they can do that. They can know that in the provisions, in the support teams, they will be able to return to their homes intact. According to Rashi in the 11th century in France, he says that, yes, they did go out to the front lines and they returned home. Why? Because of the fourth category. The fourth category of those who were afraid either because they were physically not up for the task of war or because they were afraid of their own sins, that they would not be worthy of protection on the battlefield, they would return home. Now, in order not to embarrass those people, how do you do that? You place other categories. Somebody who's built a new home, somebody who's just gotten married, somebody who's just started a new business of a new farm, a new vineyard. You tell everyone go home. That way, the ones who were sinful or afraid wouldn't be singled out, wouldn't be noticed as the only ones who are returning to their homes. Everyone now, a whole category of soldier is now returning home, and nobody needs to feel embarrassed in any way. I want to suggest a third reason that people would go out to war even knowing this law in the Torah. We know that when it comes to doing mitzvot, to performing God's will, the mitzvah is to make the effort. Of course you went out. That's how the mitzvah was fulfilled. But just as the mitzvah of going out to war is fulfilled by the outbound journey, there's an inbound journey as well that says, when the general says go home, you go home. That's a mitzvah. So you fulfilled the mitzvah of going out to war and returning from war. That's the mitzvah. Certain mitzvahs we do are not so difficult. And this is one of those mitzvahs where God says, go out, listen to the ruling of the general, and return home. That's the mitzvah. Why? Because when it comes to fulfilling God's will, it's not about outcomes. It's not about results. It's about our efforts, the efforts we make. How many steps we took to fulfill God's will. Here we get these steps, the schar halicha, the reward for going out, for making the journey out to the front lines, making the journey home. Each step, it's kind of like a Fitbit. Every step counts. Every step is useful, helpful. The effort is what God rewards us for. My blessing and promise to those of you who feel let down by the results you received is that the Almighty will not let you down. You will prosper in life. You might not see right now how things can be salvaged, but you made the effort. And the Almighty rewards for the effort. The Almighty always has a plan. The Almighty never remains in debt. He will fight your battles for you and propel you to success beyond your greatest dreams. It might not be apparent today, but very soon his plan and the miracles he has for you and your life will unfold before your eyes. As long as you have made the effort to go out, you made the effort, you studied for those exams, you prepared for your A-levels, the Almighty will take care of your success in life, guaranteed, because you have made the right steps. See, at the end of the day, God fights our battles for us. Any other army would take pride in the number of soldiers, the number of troops they had at the front lines. But we, as the army of God, we can afford to send people home. Okay, anybody just built a new house, go home. Anybody vineyard, go home. What do you mean? We need a strong army. We need as many people as possible. No, that's only when the success of the army is based on the troops. When your success is based on God fighting the battles, it doesn't matter how many people are actually standing there. What matters is that we have faith that God will fight our battles for us. Let me tell you about Gideon, who was a leader of our people during the time of the judges. The armies of Midian and Amalek are massed out just outside the Israelite territory in the valley of Jezreel. They have 135,000 troops, the prophets tell us. So Gideon gathers together an army of 32,000 troops. He doesn't have a lot, but he figures that with the 32,000 we'll be able to vanquish the armies of Midian and Amalek. And then God sends him a message. God says, no, the army is too big. Please ask those who are not up for the battle to go home. Gideon does that. He stands up, he says, those who are not up for war, please return home. 22,000 go home. Only 10,000 remain. Gideon says, okay, now we're ready to go. And God says, not so fast. It's still too many. I want to propose a test. Take all of your soldiers to the river to drink water. Gideon does so. And then they go to drink. Now, some of them, most of them, bend down into the river and lap up the water as one would be bowing down to idolatry. God says, those soldiers still have idolatrous thoughts in their heart, send them home. Only 300 brought the water up to them to drink from it. So from a battalion of 32,000, only 300 remained, and yet those 300 were able to vanquish the army of 135,000 of the Amalekites and Midianites. Why? Because it wasn't the Israelites fighting the battle. It was God fighting the battle for us. We were simply the tools, the vehicles to be able to bring God's blessing into this world, but God fought our battles for us. That must be our approach to life. If you trust in the Almighty, He will fight all your battles for you. He has amazing things in store for you in life, and he will deliver. You know, many a verse in the Torah begins, Vayehi, and it came to pass. Friends, for some, the results this week came to pass you into your chosen university place. For others, the week came to pass, just as all the troubles of this year that, please God, have come to pass. Pass, please God, into a distant memory. Very soon you will see blessings of prosperity and abundance in your life. Shabbat Shalom, and may you only hear and experience the revealed blessings of the Almighty.